Hi there. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you aren't, welcome back. My name is Mika, and this is Jessie. In 2021, we moved into an abandoned house in Shikoku, Japan's smallest main island. We're currently in the process of turning the house into our home. One of the first projects when we moved in was to start a garden. We tried urban backyard gardening in our hometown of Vancouver. But in Japan, we quickly learned that gardening would present far different challenges. The summers are hot and humid, and vegetation responds by going into full jungle mode. The rainy season and typhoons meant that the garden was never short on water. And we were constantly battling the vegetation that threatened to devour our house and garden. Not to mention the occasional monkey that dropped by. Our house sits on the top of a very steep driveway, with the upper yard mainly on the south side of our house. All of the houses in this neighborhood have an additional garden plot off the rice fields. In hindsight, we should have picked the more open garden plot, but in our excitement to begin gardening, we picked the closer, though more sheltered plot near our house. In short, our first garden was a failure. So, here's what we learned about gardening in the Japanese countryside last year, and what we've done this year. Things went really well at first. We planted tomatoes and okra, peppers, kabocha, and eggplant. We tended to the garden by watering it on dry days. We relied mostly on these pair of clippers along with some other gardening tools left behind by the house's previous owner. Though this proved to be back-breaking work, almost literally. We'd rip out the weeds and vines one week, and in the next they're back, stronger and more determined to take over our garden. We also had the occasional tomato go missing, with a lurking monkey never too far away. After a month away visiting family in Canada, we returned to find our garden swallowed up by the jungle.
Our tomato plants are still alive. Our basil was always too good. That was the garden.
The humidity had also crept into the house, with a thin layer of mold growing on anything that had traces of organic matter. And before we could think about getting our garden back on track, the typhoon season hit. A first year of gardening was humbling, to say the least. But this is a new year, and we're determined to take another stab at it. First, we armed ourselves with a weed whacker.
Watch out! It's perfect, eh?
Looks good. Ready.
Then we moved our garden to the plot near the rice fields. And most importantly, we got a lot of help from the neighbors. By choosing our secluded garden plot close to our house, we had inadvertently excluded ourselves from the sage advice of our neighbours, who were all master gardeners. One of our close neighbourhood friends, probably feeling sorry for us after seeing our pathetic gardening attempt, brought over 12 broccoli sprouts for us to plant. They just showed up one day and said, "Okay, we're planting these in your garden." As we spent more time in the lower garden, the more our neighbours began to watch our activities. It turns out that gardening is a great gateway to engaging with your neighbours. Whenever I'm working in the lower garden, a passing neighbour will always stop to ask what I'm planting or working on. They'll pass on advice and even pull out their gardening tools and come right down to the garden to help. This year, we've planted 12 broccoli plants and 10 cabbages, all starting from sprouts donated by our neighbours. One of the unavoidable lessons about gardening large amounts of the same vegetables, no matter where you're gardening, is how to eat it all when the vegetables come into season. We struggled to eat all of our broccoli when it was in season, just bags of it daily, until it eventually flowered. Right now, our cabbage is in season, and we've gotten much more creative about how to use it. We've made yaki udon, salted cabbage pickles, cabbage rolls, and one of our current favorites, okonomiyaki. This Japanese street food classic is one of our favorite cabbage-heavy meals. There's a few renditions of okonomiyaki that vary from region to region in Japan, but it often has a few staple ingredients. This one here consists of a flour batter, an egg, green onions, a protein, we like to use fresh squid from the local market, and of course, lots of shredded cabbage. Of course, we can't forget the okonomiyaki sauce and Japanese mayo topping. There's still a long growing season ahead and we have much more to learn. But we are determined with our new knowledge, tools, and neighborly advice that this year's garden will be a resounding success. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to subscribe and follow our adventure as we breathe new life into this abandoned house and garden in the Japanese countryside. Thank you for all your support, and we'll see you next time. Bye!